So far this year, experience has dominated this championship. Steve Owen, the former champ, has cleaned them up. Paul Morris takes race one.
You see Jack Perkins bring it home. Massive gap back to second place. Great drive.
Cameron McConville comes back and takes the Jax Commodore to P1. But there are some future stars here, hoping to make a name for themselves. David Russell bounces back. What a great result. The reigning Formula 4 champ, Nick Percat, Tim Blanchard, the former Formula 4 champs, look strong. And now with the endurance races just around the corner, time spent here could help shape the V8 Supercar Championship Series. This is round 4 of the Fujitsu Series from the streets of Townsville. Well, the big factor this weekend in Townsville is the size of the field. At 26 cars, it's the biggest in this series in 18 months. Alongside the co-drive today is James Courtney from Jim Beam Racing. And it's the field, James. It's not just big in quantity, it's big in quality too.
Yeah, that's right. We've got some great guys out there trying to get a little bit more time, seat time before the Enduro. So it's going to be a great race. I think it's going to be pretty exciting this weekend.
You've got a vested interest though, because 2 drivers in the field this weekend are part of Dick Johnson Racing for the Enduros.
Yeah, that's right, News. We've got David Russell and Marcus Marshall out there. I think both those guys are very strong performers and should put in a good performance this weekend.
Speaking of strong performers, the championship leader Steve Owen from Greg Murphy Racing, he has been dominant this year, and he gets in with Jamie Whincup for the next 3 events at Phillip Island, Bathurst, and probably on the Gold Coast as well. I reckon you're going to keep an eye on him because you're going to race him at some stage.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be eagle eyes on him and watching how he goes. But, you know, he's done a great job this weekend. Hopefully some of the other boys can peg back some championship points on him and spice it up towards the end of the year.
He could actually sit out the first 2 races this weekend and still be in the championship lead, such is the advantage that he holds. It's round 4 of the championship, and there's a big field of drivers keen to knock off the championship leader.
It's become a bit of a co-driver shootout. You know, you've got all the leading co-drivers here this weekend getting miles for the Enduros, and I think it helps myself, you know, just pushes me a bit harder, and also helps the young guys to work out where they're at in the whole scheme of things and what the pace they can expect to achieve in the main series. So I think there's a lot more interest in the Fujitsu series when there's some named drivers in there.
Last round winner Cameron McConville scored a last-minute call-up to drive in the main game here. So his Winton-conquering Commodore will now have Craig Baird behind the wheel.
It's very, very different in a driving style coming from Porsches and sports cars to hop back in them. So normally I sort of leave Phillip Island after the end of the Enduro, the first Enduro, and I'm just starting to feel comfortable. This time hopefully we get to Phillip Island and you're more on the money straight away.
Walkinshaw stablemate David Reynolds is also back for a one-off drive in preparation for the Enduros. The former Championship Series regular wants to remind everyone he's a man for hire next year.
Walkinshaw Racing have my best interest at heart by giving me the miles, so I'm going to perform really well for them when I step up to the main series to do Bathurst and Phillip Island.
On the Ford side of the fence, there are 2 familiar faces getting ready for the endurance races. FPR signing Luke Youlden is a last-minute starter for Matthew White's team. And Marcus Marshall makes a return in the same outfit, getting set for his time with Jim Beam Racing. Paul Morris is back after his race win in Queensland. Last year, the dirty, dangerous dude lived up to his name on the Townsville circuit. Gets into the back of the Tasmanian and unloads the Commodore. And there's contact in the background, and look who's around. Paul Morris was involved. But the man in the love machine seems to be a bit more caring and sharing on this visit.
Qualifying was good then. It was good to see James Moffat get up there and on the front, and a couple of the young guys coming through. I think it's a really good mix. The Fujitsu series it's got some old stages and some young guys, and I think it's going to make for some great racing.
The return of experienced drivers has only motivated a hungry pack of young guns, all looking for a scalp. So far this season, the only driver without main game experience to win a race in the Fujitsu Series has been David Russell. And Formula Ford graduates Nick Percat and Tim Blanchard have been revelations so far this season, and through consistency, sit 2nd and 3rd in the series points. James Moffat will also be out to prove a point. The 2009 series runner-up won this round last year, but this year it's been a bumpy road getting used to his FPR prepared car.
Looks a break, bad weekend gets worse.
but it's been a different story while preparing for the endurance races.
Well, every time I've driven the FGs in the main series for FPR, you know, times have been reasonably competitive, and you know, I've sort of been quite happy in the car. So probably more so than in my development series cars. So that's obviously a good thing for the Enduros, but we're going to try and get my DVS car going a bit better.
But perhaps the best story in Townsville is the return of Victorian privateer Taz Douglas. The series regular has been on the sidelines battling with cancer. Remarkably, he's still not fully recovered from chemotherapy, but is amped to be back in the car.
I had the engine upgraded, you know, since when I got sick. I thought, oh yeah, I've got a few months here, you know, got a bit of time, so sent the engine off to Cali Racing. So it's been upgraded to full main series spec. In practice, we're well inside the 10, so I'm pretty stoked at this stage, but that's just practice, you know. It begins now, qualifying and racing.
Get ready, when we come back, we go racing in the Fujitsu series in Townsville. A great part of the world, North Queensland and Townsville for the second straight season, hosting one of the biggest events on the V8 calendar. In fact, it was voted Event of the Year last year. But the man in form in the Fujitsu series with his fourth straight Armour All pole position. No surprise that Steve Owen on fire. He's picked up $6,000 for his 4 poles this year. And the series leader is on a roll.
It might have been the strongest field on the grid this year, but it was 2 series regulars that lined up on the front row.
14 laps ahead in race 1 for the weekend. David Russell slow to get away. David Reynolds and James Moffat from the second row of the grid. Moffat was supposed to be on the front row of the grid, but had his fastest qualifying time taken away.
Doesn't matter.
And look at the jump, it doesn't matter.
Look at him go.
Moffat leads at turn 2.
Oh,
Rodney Jane making a lunge on Nick Percat. Oh, he's tagged Luke Yulden. Marcus Marshall goes around as well.
it's a bit of a car park there.
Oh, McGill's involved, Tony Bates. Now, let's have a look again. Jane makes a move on Nick Percat. 3 into 2 won't go. He tags Yulden. Percat tags Marshall. And there's more dramas in the background. That's Colin Cedars in the wrong direction.
Looks like he just grabs the rears here, just as last effort to pull it up, just tags Yulden, spins him around. Nowhere to go there, Nudes.
Not a great start for the former series regular in last year's championship winning car.
Oh, Russell.
Morris made a mistake and Russell grabs him.
Oh, the long machine's a bit sideways there. Hang on to it, Morris.
Oh, Steve Owen lunging for the lead. He's got by James Moffat at the end of lap 1. And look at David Reynolds.
He might get him on the switchback here. To get close enough, he can tow up past him. Something the Kelly boys are pretty good at.
Side by, yeah, you know about that. Side by side, down at turn 1, Reynolds in the Bundaberg Red Commodore that was run earlier in the year by Fabian Coulthard is right with them, but Owen is through to the lead. Look at Reynolds.
Shame he got in there. Could have been off for a switchback.
Soon after, a safety car was called to take care of Jeff Emery. But he wasn't the only one to come off worse for wear after the huge turn 2 pile-up. When racing resumed, try as they might, no one could keep up with the series leader.
Second place on the line, Moffat, Reynolds. David Russell's taken some ground. Paul Morris and Craig Baird are coming too.
Oh, it's a beautiful little part of the circuit here. They use a lot of curb. Their cars are looking very clean at the moment.
David Russell. Oh, David Reynolds. Huge engine failure for Walkinshaw Racing's Commodore.
It was lucky for David Russell to get through there too. You saw his car have a massive moment there.
A second safety car was required to remove Reynolds' stranded car. And when racing recommenced, no one could close the gap to the series leader.
The safety car has brought his rivals close to the back of the Greg Murphy Racing Commodore, but the EarthX machine is too fast and too strong. Last corner coming up for the championship leader. He's on target in 2010 to repeat the championship that he won in 2008. Steve Owen does it in style. Moffat second. That's a good confidence builder for James Moffat. Russell third, and Paul Morris didn't touch anyone and finished 4th. Great job from Tim Blanchard. Started from 12th and got to 6th. Taz Douglas, great return. He finishes 7th. Nick Percat 10th. That gives him pole for race 2. And Rodney Jane picked up a pit lane penalty for that contact with Luke Yulden.
David, such a strong run for you there. What happened?
The steering felt a bit funny the corner before, and then will come around that real fast, sweeping right-hander. You know, it's pretty fast and scary at the best of times, and when you got no power steering, it makes it even worse. And it just instantly filled the cabin with smoke, and I just had to get out of there as quick as I could.
Ronnie Jane, right in the thick of it there. What was your take on all that?
Well, I sort of came into the first turn, or the second turn, and as I've come in, I've just sort of slowed down so much. I thought, well, there's still space there, so I've gone right, gone in a bit further, slowed down a bit more, and then all of a sudden it's really slowed down, and I just touched Yulden. So yeah, a bit disappointing. You know, damaged some other people's race and my race.